Welcome to Influence Matters, the show where I talk with experts, entrepreneurs, and professionals who are turning their story into impact and their expertise into influence. I am Clara Rose, and I am your host today. Let me tell you about my guest today. His name is Bill Reynolds, and he has been in the marketing and technology space for over 2 decades. And over his career, he has worked in many different industries, of course, and worn many different hats, like most of us, from independent consultant to cooking school to establishing technology centers. It has been a spirit led adventure that has landed him in the president's seat at Element 502. Leading his motley group is always exciting, according to him. Each day brings new challenges, victories, and learning moments, of course. They aren't perfect, but they always do their best. Bill definitely has a heart to watch people shine as their true potential is unlocked. So, being at Element 502 has allowed him to let his team discover their sweet spot. And this blend of fun and dependability is what makes him really tick. And to his clients, of course, this translates into being able to hear issues and needs clearly and then work with a team for the best solution that's delivered. And then when the client wins, everybody can celebrate. Please help me welcome Bill to the show. Are you with me, my friend? Welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Claire. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I read your bio, which was funner than most, right? People are usually very, give me all this technical stuff, but yours was a little bit more fun. I always like to just ask, tell my audience what it is you really do in the world.
So we're storytellers. I mean, that's really the biggest
Mm,
thing that we do, and we work with our customers. We're a marketing agency, and part of that is that I have to be able to understand what your product is, and then be able to present it clearly to your audience, whoever that is. So I get a lot of fun. I get to hear different people's stories. I get to ask them a little bit more, and then just like you alluded to in the bio, if you do things the same as everybody else, it's really hard to stand out or to see anything different. So being able to have a great team behind me and be able to tell people's stories, get their message out to the right person, it's always a good time.
I do love that about what I do as well, the story piece, because
Mhm.
people may not realize it, but we're wired that way, right? We're wired
Oh
for
yeah, that's
story, right?
yeah.
It's
It's
how we
it's the
see
most
the
important way
world.
that we learn. It's how we make a place to go. If you're trying to communicate or you hear something, you try to relate it back to a story that's
Mhm.
there. And you never
Yep.
see kids where they say, "Don't read me a story. Don't tell me a story." I mean, it's built into
Right,
us from the
right,
beginning. So
right.
yes,
It's
it's
created
definitely the
that
most
way.
communicated way. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Created that way.
yeah. We are actually just finishing watching Chosen through like season 5, or I
Mhm.
think that's season 5, waiting for the next. And we've watched it multiple times because the next season is just taking too long to come out, right? So we watched it again, and it struck me how everything that they did was story, right? That's how
Mhm.
over history we communicate the past. We communicate about the present. That's how we connect is with story. And I thought, it's not something that I just love to do. It's how we were hardwired for sure.
Yes. Yeah,
And
and you can see, like, how it creates that continued narrative, and part of
mhm,
that you were just talking about by watching The Chosen and other things. Whenever you have story involved, it's a self-correcting system where truth is going to be remembered by multiple people, and so if somebody's trying to change the
mhm,
story or, the buzzword of changing the narrative now kind of idea,
right.
that starts to happen, people realize it. And if you're a marketer or you're a business professional, and your story starts to change as who you are as a company, if that's not done well, it can break trust.
Mm,
People don't know if they can believe you. Any
for
of those
sure.
things are out there. So we help build trust by telling truth.
It's foundational. Foundational. Okay, so this is what you do, right? You help people from the
Mhm.
ground up. So who do you work with most, and what does that process look like? So if you said, Clara, here's the person that you can send me, who's that person?
You know, it's kind of cliche, but it really is anybody that's willing to take a chance and to listen to someone else. And what I say that is that sometimes what we have to do is we have to take a hard look at things that people have already done or put out there. There could be some personal pride or some other ownership that's in there. It could be someone that's
Mhm.
related or someone that you like. But being able to look at it and say, here's some things that we see that would need to change to be able to make this more effective, and then also to be able to say, here's what we're going to see as the results of that, so that we have something to measure against. Because there are some people out that are in the world where they say, oh yeah, I really am excited, I really want to see something change, we're looking for something new of this. But if you really pull back the cover, what they're really saying was, we don't want anything different. We want to do things exactly the way that we have been, and the way that we're comfortable with, and the way that we and the way that we understand. And we just want you to give us a thumbs up and say it's the smartest thing we should do. And then we just walk away feeling happier. It happens sometimes. I get it. I mean,
Yeah,
we all have personal pride. We have those things that are in there. But when someone's really
sure.
willing to take a look and look at some data, some facts, some other things that are in there, it really changes that narrative out.
Right. And if you're looking for someone to help you with marketing, there's a reason you're looking, right? Because something that you're
Hmm.
doing isn't working, or the your lead generation isn't giving you the numbers you like. I mean, they're looking for a reason, right? And that's why you search out a digital marketing professional or company agency, right? To fix
Right.
something or
So
create
yes.
something if there's not something in place. So it's interesting that you would get clients who just are looking for validation.
Well, I think it sometimes, it depends on who's been put in charge, what kind of ownership level
Mm,
they have of something,
sure.
and where things are. It's just kind of like you think about in anything in the world, like, our old house, and then you're getting ready to sell it, and somebody's going to paint it, and you're like, wait,
Mm.
no, no, you can't paint it. Well, it's not your house, but there's a memory
Right.
that's there, and
Yeah.
so
Mm,
those kinds of things. So depending on the attachment that you have to it, it could be.
mm,
And then sometimes that's something that you really need to handle delicately, because it could be a merger.
mm,
It could be, we've had clients to where,
right.
one of the business partners was a parent, and that parent died. And so then we're
Mm,
putting up a memorial page for them. We're helping change the business out, but we don't want to erase that person from the business, because they're very
right.
foundational and a very important part of the remaining team, as well as the legacy they left. So how do you handle those well,
Mm,
and those kinds of things? So it's always a delicate balance, but it's always worth a conversation. You walk away with fun
sure.
stories, you get to hear and meet new people, and then at the end of the day, hopefully we leave everybody better than we found them.
I love that. Okay, so a client comes to you for the first time, a new
Mhm.
client. They're looking for, improved lead generation. Right? I hear that one a
Sure.
lot. And we in
Yeah,
our
we
own
need more
businesses,
leads.
right? We need more leads. Everyone's saying the same thing, right? We're the same way. Give
Mhm.
us more leads. Give us more quality leads. So what is the first thing that you're going to look at for them, right?
We
Where's
ask
your starting
goals.
point?
That's the very first thing. We start with goals. Like, what's your goal from this? If you're
Mm,
saying you want more leads, what's going to be the goal of that? Is it going to create more emails? Is it more people to send a newsletter? Like, why do you need more leads? And we're not asking it from the standpoint that your idea is wrong, or to put you on the ropes. It's really that it could be a masking over of a bigger problem, or something else that needs to happen in there. And so we always want to make sure that we understand the goals of someone coming to talk to us, to make sure the solutions that we offer and what we know that we can do will
mm,
actually line up for those. It's not fair to anyone to try to enter into a relationship with an agency or with any kind of vendor, and your goal is, hey, I want more leads, and I say, oh, I brought you more leads. Well, the problem wasn't that you needed more leads; you needed more closed deals. Well, if we didn't identify who your leads are, with some good granularity and some good detail, I could bring you a whole bunch of people, and maybe none of them are your ideal client. Well, you got a lead. They want something to be able to turn into a close. And so we miss the boat on that. Or it could be that there's an issue inside the company with closing or deliverabilities. And so you're trying to make up for it by just putting more in the top of the funnel. So asking questions is the very first thing we do. What is your
mm,
goal? What is your expectation? And then we make sure things can align. Because the other thing that we were just talking about, that some people will come with just validation. One of the other things that'll happen is that people will come and think, just because they're using a digital agency, that suddenly changes the timeline of everything. And what I mean by that is, if it normally takes you 6 months for a close to happen, because there's a lot of moving pieces to the goods or services that you offer, just because we were able to bring that lead to you in a digital format doesn't mean that it's going to change 6 months. It could be the exact same cycle, and sometimes people just have a misunderstanding or a hope that can't be delivered upon. And so I always like to ask those questions of what's your goal, what are you trying to do, repeat that back, and then go through that process to make sure that whatever our final proposed solution is going to be would actually match up to those goals.
Mm, mm. Which makes so much sense, right? You can't just throw one thing at something and have it just assume that it's going to fix everything when you don't even really know what you're trying to fix.
Yeah, like that.
So, in the fix department,
Hmm.
you were going to say something. Was it something
No, no,
clever and
no.
I
I was
cut
just
you
saying,
off?
no, it's exactly like that. No, you're 100%. Yeah, unless you have a good
Uh,
plan, everything's going to look like a nail. So you got to be able to ask the
yeah,
right questions.
right, right. So then you're going to use a hammer because everything looks like a nail. It's
Hmm.
always a great analogy. Okay, so let's talk about um, the solution side that you offer.
Hmm.
I'm assuming, you know, websites. Just correct me if I'm
Hmm.
wrong, because these are assumptions that you offer websites, the
Hmm.
marketing for websites. What other kinds of services or solutions do you bring to the table?
Sure, we do. We have both traditional and physical. So that could be maybe making a brochure or a banner. It could be designing an ad for a billboard, or it could be a digital platform that's out there. So it just really depends on what your goal is that we put it in. We work with print and package design. We do brochures. We do direct mail. We do some email marketing, social campaigns, all of the things. And we have quite a few services that we offer, but we try to make sure that we come about it from the way that your customers or your consumer, whoever you're going after, is going to be seeing their information, and that could be
Mm,
based on demographic of age or location or just what's going
sure,
on. We want to make sure that whatever that proposed solution or that fix is going to match your audience so that we can get those goals to
right.
work for you.
So I stumbled across this morning. So hopefully I'm not, hitting you, blindsiding you here with this,
No,
but
all
I
good.
stumbled across this morning. I had a conversation with looking for a print service for a client that I'm working with right
Mhm.
now, and it's kind of an unusual print that they need for their product. And as I'm interviewing printers, one of them yesterday said, "So, how'd you hear about us?" I'm like, "Well, actually, Claude." Right? I was just talking to Claude about my new best friend,
Mhm.
Claude. Say, give me printers that will do these things specifically, and in the order that I should contact them. And so their question was, "Oh, how did we rank on Claude?" And I'm like, because I think I got 6 or 8 uh, recommendations from Claude, and then
Mhm.
of them, it gave me the top 4. And so they landed in the top 4, and they're like, "Oh, usually we're 1 or 2. What were we?" I'm like, I'd have to go look. I can't
Right.
remember, but I'm reaching out the top 4. So then my little brain started going, okay, how did they how did they show up in
Why did
Claude?
they
How
rank?
come they
Yes.
showed up there? How did they rank there? Why does my website not rank there? So I'm like, oh, there's a missing piece, something I don't understand because it's
Mhm.
newer. Honestly, I just started using Claude, a few weeks ago. I was very
Mhm.
anti
Well, you're in a creative writing
chat.
space, you've got all these things, and so all of this
Yes,
sounds just like the devil himself, like he's stealing
yes,
information and rewriting and reusing other
yes.
people's stuff. There's no original
He
thought.
is. Yes. Yes, exactly where my brain was. I started using it for ideation, which is an awesome tool for ideation and for research. Awesome tool for
Mhm.
research. Just careful what I feed into it, right? Because I'm always careful to protect my IP and protect,
Mhm.
anyway, but it
I
brought up a
understand, yeah.
gap. I'm like, oh, okay. So we have 3 businesses, my husband and I. So in our 3 businesses, that's 3. So we like are on this morning having coffee by the pool on the whatever he was using, his new best friend, Gemini. I don't even know what he uses, but he's
I
like
gotcha.
talking, it's his friend talking, saying, okay, how come, find me a window treatment company in my area. And then we didn't show up. Okay,
Mhm.
why didn't we show up? Well, you need to rank, and here's how you're going to do that. And I'm like, okay, I know somebody I can ask today.
Yep, I can help you
Right?
out. I can tell you all that
Will,
stuff. So,
tell, tell
hey,
us, is there
I can
like
tell
a
you,
magic sauce or magic
there's a couple of
algorithm,
different
or stand
there's
on
a
one
couple of
foot?
different things
What?
that are in there. No, not quite that. You just got to get the tin foil. No, I'm joking. The first thing,
I
make sure
will.
that your Google get your Google business page set up. That's your first thing.
Okay.
In your Google business page, there's service areas, there's all kinds of things that are in there.
Mm,
Make sure that that profile is filled out. And if you don't have one, create one. If you don't know who controls it, please figure that out, because that is a key part of your business for location based searches, like where you were saying, like find this near
mm,
me, like your printer or your window
right.
treatment or any of those. So that's your first one, to make sure that you can seen and be found on Google. That's your first one. Second thing, on your website itself, the term that's been used a lot is AIO. You may have been heard SEO before,
Oh,
search engine
mhm,
optimization. That's where we work to make sure
mm,
that your web page is crawled, it's ranking on the right
mhm,
keywords, it's all built and put together so that the search engine and the search bots can understand what they're reading and what's on there.
sure.
Well, AIO is very similar, but it's just using for AI of, can AI read my site in an optimized manner? And there's a couple things. There's some extra
Okay.
files, some LMS.txt file that you'll create that
Mm,
has like a summary of who you are and what you're doing. The AI will check your
okay.
website and see if it agrees with it. So that's where SEO and AIO kind of work together. And then
Okay.
making sure that you have rankable content. Because the other thing that you can do is, if you go into, like you were talking about your husband maybe using Gemini, the Google
Mm,
agent,
yeah.
you go
Whatever. Yeah.
to Yep. If you go to Google, or even if you go to Claude and you ask it your question, you can turn on citations, and it will show you the site or sites that it pulled from to
Mm,
be able to build your AI response. And so then you can say, oh, okay, well, how do I compare to this website then? Because then it starts giving you targets. So you say, oh, this site is
okay.
ranking higher than me. What are they doing? And so it's not a keeping up with the
Mm,
Joneses, or stepping on top of someone else's shoulders to stand higher. It's just that the AI is making choices, and it really is, because of the way the
right.
code runs. It's not a standardized, step one, step two flow chart kind of process it goes through. So
Right.
depending on the type of query, depending on where you're at, seeing it, kind of looking behind the scenes of who it's ranking or who it's going on, will also give you some points on
Mm,
there. But there's some tools that you can put on your website,
mm,
some other stuff. I know in an advertising agency, you could pay to do the work for you if it's too much on your own hands. But yeah, there's quite a few different ways there. But your short thing, check your Google
sure.
business page. Make sure that
Mm,
your service area and that your address and everything is good there.
mm,
There's no disagreement between that Google page and your website as far as any kind of
mm,
contact or name, address, any of that. They call it the NAP, name, address, and place. So I mean, sorry, phone,
mm,
name, address, and phone. Make sure all those
mm.
match between the two, and then you can just you can even ask Claude to create the lms.txt file that you could upload to your web server to try to help the AIO find you and to be able to rank you better.
So that's
So there's a
something that's
very quick
hidden, right?
answer to
Like
all
in
of
the
your things.
background.
Yes.
Yeah, all of my
Hmm.
stuff. Yeah, but I mean, it sounds like and feels like a lot. And the only reason that I would even attempt any of that myself was because I've been in WordPress, which is where our website
Hmm.
was built. And we self-host, like through Kinsta. Um, that's just because I've been in business for 100 years, right? And I just
You don't
have learned
understand,
over
yeah.
time that right. That's the smart thing to do. So, um, I could probably get in there and, you know, be super dangerous, like inside my website.
Well,
But most people, that's not true, right?
well, and it's always changing. It's the Wild West still with AI. I mean,
Mm,
how it's working,
sure.
what it's doing. I mean, I think you probably saw
Yeah.
the news story that's been in the past couple of days, that there was a company that was using an AI agents to do some development for them, and the agent just
Mm.
decided autonomously to delete their whole database and the backup, and so they lost years and years of data just within a couple
Oh
of
my
minutes
god.
because the AI just hallucinated and made its own
Oh.
choice. So
Oh my
yeah, it's
gosh.
there's
I
always it's always the Wild
I
West. That what's happening out there
I
is changing. So
told
you just have to
you.
be ready.
It was the
See,
devil. I told you.
I knew it.
Right?
See?
It's
You were right
like
all along, Claire.
yeah, I was right all along. it's it just it's not a person with a soul,
Mm-mm.
right? It's
Nope.
software or whatever. I don't even know what it really is. But the fact that it can make that kind of a decision on its own
Mm-hmm.
without your approval and just change something so significant and impact your business like that, that's flat scary,
Yep.
I
Well, and it
think.
just depends on
Right?
how much you delegate or how much you give up, right? I mean, because
Mm,
somebody thought it was a good idea, they
okay.
thought it was going to help save time, and so
Mm,
yeah, and it's scary because now what's your recourse on that, or how do you fix that, or how do you bring that back? And so yeah, it's again, it's just like anything. As the tools are new and
yeah.
still evolving, it's going to keep changing.
Right.
And this conversation probably will be dated by next week, where there'll be something new
Yeah.
out, somebody will
Right.
release something different,
For sure.
and we're just we're not trying
So,
to be bleeding edge, but we just want to make sure we stay knowledgeable and help keep our clients
right.
and even ourselves relevant and ranking, so that when people are looking
Yeah, for
for a
sure.
solution, they know where to find us.
I think the gap is that people um, aren't educating. I'm a huge educator of my clients. Like from the get-go. Like, here's what you need to know about the industry. Here's what you need to know about
Mhm.
it, right? Everything that I know knowledge-wise, I'm giving that away, even to non-clients, because I think knowledge is truly power in our decision making. So I think somebody has to be that voice saying, you know, okay, yeah, here's why having an AI agent connected to, your database could be a bad thing, right? Or here's what you
Mhm.
can use it for in your marketing. Here's what you ought not use it for. And that's like up to the professional like you to educate them, right? Say here's a good
Mhm.
use of that and here's not a good use of that.
And I try to make sure that we leave people better than we found them. So even if they say, "Yeah, but I don't want to pay you. I'm still going to use my AI solution because it's already figured this
Mhm.
out," and right,
Right?
okay, well, at least you know the risk, right? Because at the end of the day, people are
Yes.
people, and we have free will, so you've got to
Hmm.
let people be able
Sure.
to make their own choice there.
And they're going to make their own mistakes. so, so tell me, is this something that like everybody should be calling someone like you, right? Nobody should be trying to figure
Yeah,
these
I would.
things out on their own, right?
Yeah, I would at least, wisdom in a multitude of counselors kind of thing. Ask several people.
Mhm.
Ask the agent
Mm,
itself, the whatever AI tool that you're doing. Like, should I
mm.
use it for this? Because the fun thing is that it'll tell you, not to do to use something else. And because
Right?
well, I was on a Microsoft admin portal. Theirs is called Copilot. Is their AI,
Mhm.
and they've put it front and center, so you can't do anything without at least starting a conversation with it. And I said, I need to set up an email address for this customer. And they already had Microsoft Outlook. They were running Microsoft Exchange as their platform. I'm
Mhm.
logged into the Microsoft portal, talking to the Microsoft chatbot, and it said, "Well, there's many ways you can do this. You can create this with Google, with G Suite, or you could do it with this, or you could do it with this." I'm like, "You're the
Yeah, but I'm
Microsoft AI.
inside your
I'm in
platform.
my Microsoft. Yeah, I'm in my Microsoft login, and you're giving me
Uh,
Google as an option." So, it's
mm,
the AIs are that that's the truth and the devil in them is
mm,
that they just regurgitate facts that they've been fed. And
yeah,
so, yes, even
yeah,
inside the platform, the company's own platform, it was
yeah.
positioning one of their competitors as a
Sending them
possible
away.
solution.
Right.
Yep. So ask it, hey, is this
Interesting.
a good use for you, or how would I change this? Because
Yeah,
it'll just tell you what it thinks is
it'll
truth
just tell
and
you.
push it out there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's the scary part in my own industry, right? Is
Hmm.
that it just goes out and collects all this data that it thinks is true, right? Some people are
Hmm.
like, oh, I'm just going to use AI to write my book and just sends it out to the world to collect all this
Hmm.
data, right? It does not necessarily mean that it's factual data, right?
No.
Aside from the fact that now you have to disclose when you publish that it was AI generated and you completely
Hmm.
remove any authority you built by writing a book, right? Because you didn't
Yep.
really write the book, right?
Right.
So,
And you
but
can't
beyond
copyright it
that,
because it's not your stuff. And it's a
it's
robot,
not
and robots can't own
copyrightable.
copyrights. So you can't copyright it. You can't own it. You can't do anything. You're
Yep,
just simply
public
taking somebody
domain.
else's notes and made it. That's it. Yeah. You made a
Yeah,
public domain option.
yeah. So best case scenario, you can't even put it out to the world and call it your own. Worst case scenario, you're giving bad, erroneous advice to somebody,
Hmm.
to a bunch of somebodies, right? Maybe
Right.
potentially causing harm to somebody because you just took AI's word. It has no soul, right?
Right.
Right there, that
And it,
element is missing. So
yeah, and it learns from other
crazy.
people's work. And so if other people have made
Yeah,
mistakes, that turns into work. Now there are some tools, there's some
yeah,
repetitive things, there's a lot of stuff we can use it for. And just like you were talking about using it for ideation or
true.
having a sounding board,
Yeah,
doing
it's
things
great
in
for
a
that.
similar format over and over, there's a lot of time savings that come from it. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people though have fallen into the trap of just let it do the thinking for me, let it do the work for
Mm,
me, and I'll just pick my name at the end and
yeah,
send it out. But, we're
voila.
seeing it in legal
Yeah,
profession where it causes issue
yep,
with lawyers.
yep,
You see it in corporate world where, people are copying too much of what the AI script put back, and so then it shows the AI
yep,
prompts as part of what their email says
yep,
now and other things.
yep.
So, yeah, it's a good tool,
Yeah.
but it's not a replacement.
Yeah, it's just a tool. Yes, and it's creating the cognitive offload. Now we no longer think. Okay, we are just about out of time because we got off on a little tangent
Okay.
there, but really quickly in 2 minutes, tell me about the haircut story,
Oh,
the
yeah,
short
yeah, yeah.
version, the
So we
haircut
got another
story.
yeah, we've got a website. Yeah, here it is, the 5.99 haircut. It's 599haircut.com. So it was one of the great lessons I learned about marketing. The story, and it's if you go to the website, you can download the PDF. It's completely ungated. You don't have to give me your email address, anything like that. We're not going to follow you or do any of those. There is one further down. If you give me your email address, you get a little bit some extra bonus stuff in there. But the 5.99 haircut, I needed a haircut. I had an event the next day. I needed to get a haircut. I went to a popular chain haircut store place that was near me, and because they were running a 5.99 haircut sale. And so I walk in and I said, "Hey, I need a haircut." And they're like, "Your wait's going to be an hour and a half." I'm like, "Oh, good golly, that's way too long." So I got in the car and I drove down the street to downtown of the city that we live in, and was a barber shop there. So I go in and I sat down in the barber shop, and there wasn't a wait. I mean, I was there, I was sitting in the chair within just a couple of minutes. And I sit down, and his haircut's about $15, and the sign's on the wall, and he starts cutting my hair, and we're talking. I said, "Hey, I'm gonna ask you a quick question." I said, "I'm not, just full transparency, I'm not negotiating the price of the haircut or any of this kind of stuff." And he just kind of smiled and looked. He's like, "Well, of course not. It's on the wall. There's the price." I'm like, "Yeah, I get it, man. But I have to ask you, what is the difference between your $15 haircut and that $5.99 haircut from the place that I left?" And it was funny. He just kind of smiled and he looked at me in the mirror. He said, "That's easy. I fix $5.99 haircuts." Wow. There you go. So the $5.99 haircut is just because it's the cheaper price does not necessarily mean it's going to perform or do what
Mhm,
you need. And depending on how you
mhm.
set yourself up, with your value proposition, with your other things, if you're leading with that price, and that's what people are going to be able to look at you for. Two different haircuts, that
Yep,
$15 haircut and that 5.99 haircut, they're not the same, other than they're both called a haircut.
not the
And it wasn't
same.
just the cost that's
Yeah,
different. So how you position yourself,
yeah,
how you put your messaging out there, what words you use when you talk about your product or goods or service really matter for that value versus price.
matters.
Because at the end
Yeah,
of the day, if I
yeah,
just put both of those in front of you and you said, "Well, I'm going to choose the 5.99 one. It's cheaper than 15." I'm not dumb. I'll save
mm,
save my
mm,
$9 and be able to use it for something else. But if I told you that, "Hey, this guy's going to cut your hair in 3 minutes and this guy's going to cut your hair in about 20 minutes, this guy's just going to give you the same haircut as everybody else that's
mm,
gone through. This guy's going to ask you some questions, and then you're going to be able to get a haircut that matches what you want for the 15 versus the 5.99. Which one are you going to do?"
that you're
And there
like,
could be some
yeah,
people who say,
yeah,
"Give me the assembly line one." Either way, that's the 5.99 story.
yeah,
So
there you
go
go.
there, download
Shoot.
it, read more.
We are out of time.
I know.
Dang, I'm so sorry. Thank you
That's
for
okay.
being with us today. I appreciate your time so much. All right,
No.
guys, we're out of time. I will see you next week, same time, same place. Thanks for joining me.